The 8 elements that I found that quite interesting. The elements in China that you mentioned, like your Guangxi, your personal connection. I think they have our own version in India, and there was also an article that said this. But I find this more and more in business. Like I said, this whole thing of looking around. So my engineers use it, unfortunately the shop floor, and I use it in the policy framework with the office. So at every level we do use Jugaad to some extent. And partly the Jugaad is also to do with the Guangxi. So what I'm saying is, a very informal position of strength is achieved. This is not something which is very theoretical, but every country probably has their own. We have not realized the others, but at least in these two they are own. Like I said, in China it's very important the person who introduces you. In fact, you are held in the esteem of the person who is introducing you. And then you have to probably, in a few months, or weeks, or whatever, depending on what business you're doing, come up to that level of esteem. That he has assumed for you, or grow in that esteem. In India, we are far more, we are trying to cut out the middlemen out of everything, and even with the reference, we treat it purely as a referencing, okay, this guy was referred to me by him, but now I will take my own very objective decision as far as the business is concerned. Not so in China, so that's something we are quite different in. Here, there is always a social context, I think, in India. At least when we are traveling, there is a very strong business context. So when we are trying to do business with China, we feel that it's far more business-like, very direct. We want some results, and we don't have the patience for this whole social network building that China so much seems to love. Interpersonal harmony, this again they go to a large extent, and that's very important in my opinion. Because in India, one of the ways that you can get efficiencies by getting people to compete with each other in a group. We try to do it as a positive pressure. In the old days, it was a very negative pressure. So, you would have management spies and all those things were working very much. Today, I think a lot of companies have grown out of that, fortunately. But management is always trying to get the competitive spirit of people up and say, in this room, can nobody produce more than this? I don't believe it. So you're trying to excite that competitive spirit in people. And more often than not, you will be successful. So some people will start getting to the top end of the X-bar graph. Some will stay at the bottom and then start slowly raising the whole graph. And that's how productivity increases. Or efficiency increases happen in India. But in China, that's very difficult to pull through because they somehow believe that moving out of the average is not the norm. They wouldn't like to be seen as that. So if you want to increase the productivity levels in China, the way to do it is completely different. You have to just say that, okay, you're doing 20,000 yesterday. If I don't see 25,000 in a week, you will all be fired. And then stick to your word. Because you believe it can be done, fire the whole team and get a new team. Chances are you will succeed. But if you think that out of these 20,000 you start encouraging, talking to people, maybe we've not had enough patience and enough experience to say that. But that's not the way it works. The holistic thinking, they like to look at things that are both abstract but also completely a full business orientation, if you may like it. The Tibet example is a good one there. We are still very task oriented, short term, quarterly results. If the purchase guy knows he thinks his only job is to negotiate and somehow get the rate down today, doesn't matter if 3 months later he increases it again because his trip was successful. He likes to prove to everybody in management that this business trip was a good idea. I got back much more than he spent on me. That's somehow the thinking that we still have. In China, I don't think that's true. Okay, thrift is together both. I think we have both economies who have suffered for very long. So the value for money is very strong in these societies. You don't spend unnecessarily, you don't throw away money, and your savings rates are very high. That's quite common. Both in families, and I also find in companies. Even in companies there, you don't find them having very, very opulent, except for the office of the CEO, everything else is very basic. Comfortable, but not gaudy, and nobody spends too much in that. In India, I find, of course, one step further, we have this value for money orientation. In everything we buy, we want to know what it costs, what the technology is, who's making how much money on this, can I get this cheaper somewhere else? And it's a very considered sort of thing. But I guess that's not so much to do with culture, probably the availability of funds, and that's changing. Finally, of course, the faith, you talked about the faith that they talked about, the social, this thing. I think I was trying to find an Indian comparison. I think it's more to do with a hat. Am I talking to you as a businessman now? That's the hat I'm wearing. If I'm talking in my neighborhood, as a neighbor, my hat is different. I'm talking to my kids as a parent, my hat is different. And so we seem to still, I find often have this hat orientation And the Chinese, I don't know many of them from in Korea. I know a lot of people, their families, I know how they behave with them. In China, I'm not still that well entrenched. But I would say that a business occupies a very large part of their time. So as the father figure of the family that they are running the business, they think their job is to do very well, make a crazy amount of money. But then, for example, things like education of the kids, or going to school to a parent-teacher meeting, or trying to help the kid with the education. No, this is not their job at all, and it's almost considered demeaning. They would not be very happy telling you their wife had called, for example. So it's very much a patriarchal society in that sense. Still. Yeah, they are relentless, so they can go after a business once they trigger that this is a good business to do over the years. They will stay on course. In India, like I said, we are task oriented. We are evaluating always whether it's worth having this relationship or is it not leading to anything and we give up if you're not patient enough. So that's briefly what my experience